Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to a Tiny Titan stream. I am Glenn Stanway. I'm the producer and product manager of the Tiny Titan Studios game Tiny Rails, which you see playing before you. And we're here again to talk about our latest update to the game and talk about some of your questions and some of the feedback we've gotten on social media over the past week or so. For those who are not aware, Update 1.4.0, which is our big content update, was released on Wednesday. We've actually subsequently done an update 1.4.1 to fix a bug that came to our attention shortly after we actually pushed the major update. But the major content addition in this update is we have some more of Asia for you to explore. So if you are to explore your map a little further, you will notice that Japan and China, Mongolia, Taiwan, and Korea are now playable areas in the game. We do have a new means of getting to these areas now as well. So if you have finished North America in terms of the storyline, you will notice there is a new port node, which is available in USA West. This guy right here, and if you were to travel to that port node, you can actually pay some gold to travel to Japan directly. So you don't have to necessarily play through all the existing game content to get to the new content, which is something we're going to try really hard to incorporate into all of our major content updates going forward as well. We really want people to be able to see the content in the game without having a lot of gates that are in the way, keeping them from doing that. So keep an eye out for that for future updates as well. Now, we were hoping to show you some of our new content in the game today. Unfortunately, because our train does have a mind of its own, it decided to travel somewhere quite unexpected while we were offline, so we're slowly making our way over to the new content. We'll see how far we can get while we're en route here, but we're going to be traveling through Russia in the meanwhile, I think, too. So for anybody who hasn't had a chance to check out that update yet, you'll get an opportunity to do that here as well. We had quite a few questions come through us over social media in the last couple of days, so we're going to field a few of those for you on the stream today. I know we were hopeful that we were going to be showing the Steam version of Tiny Rails on the stream today, and we're working really, really hard to make it the best version of the game that it possibly can be. And with that in mind, we just didn't feel 100% comfortable getting ready to show it to all of you guys yet. We want to make it a little bit shinier, give it a little bit more polish before we show it off. But I suspect you will see that on the stream over the next week or two. So you can see we've got our Asia cars equipped, or we've got many of them equipped. For anybody who has picked up the Asia bundle, you'll have seen some of these already. But we do have our Kitty Cat bus, engine, and caboose. And then we've got 3 of our new cars equipped to that as well. So one change you will have noticed if you've upgraded to version 1.4.1 is you can now buy the Asia car pack for gems rather than making an actual cash purchase on that. That is something that we did want to try with this bundle. We had somebody ask a question about that actually, so we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. But suffice it to say, for those who haven't yet committed to picking up that bundle, you get another option for doing that right now. And you can still get your hands on that for a few more days. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of these questions here. Somebody asked about the Cat bus still being available. They said they thought it was limited. Hey, Build a Cat, welcome to the chat. The Cat bus is still available, in part because the bundle is still available. We tried a little bit different approach on the bundle this time. Those who bought a Russia bundle will know that the cars were available prior to the update coming out, and then once the update shipped, they could no longer get those cars without unlocking them through the normal means in the game. That is the case here as well, but we decided to leave the bundle open for anybody who still wanted a chance to get those cars without necessarily having to get all the progress requirements to unlock everything or go to the factories to build them. Same thing goes for the Cat bus car. So I don't really know where the understanding came from that the Cat bus car was not going to be available through other means, but our plan is to make that available for a gem purchase in the game once the bundle is gone as well. So you still will be able to get your hands on it, just it's going to work a little bit differently at that point. Again, we did have somebody who asked about buying the bundle for cash versus gems, and whether we're going to see some more consistency on that going forward. The answer to that is yes, I believe you will. I think going forward we are very likely going to do gem purchases for the packs rather than making them a cash purchase. The feedback we've gotten from players is that they really like that. They prefer having that option available to them. For a player who's inclined to spend money, they can simply buy gems and then just sort of decide how they want to spend them. And for players who maybe are less inclined to spend money, you can earn games through the game naturally anyway, so you've got another means of potentially getting the gems to use for those card packs. So I think going forward you will see us leaning more towards the gem aspect. Rebel Leader is correct, you'd better start stacking up on gems. Really, we just want to try and give people more things to do with them in the game, and we had a number of players ask for different ways to get new cars, and that was a pretty obvious way to us to actually present that option. So we're going to continue exploring with new ways for people to get cars and new places to get cars for players. But I think in terms of the car pack aspect of it, gems are definitely going to be the way we're going to go, I think, for the majority of the packs going forward, if not all of them. So we're coming up on St. Petersburg here. Still got quite a ways to go if we're going to make it to China anytime soon, but this is still some relatively new content. So, did Brett tell you about my idea for a diamond mine that you can purchase? He did not, build a cat. We've got a lot on our plate right now, just trying to get the Steam stuff worked out. So honestly, he's probably had a lot distracting him, which is why he's not with me today. There's still a lot of stuff on his plate, so he's working hard to get caught up on a few things we want to tweak and add in for the Steam release. I shake my fist at him every day, so I'll get an extra one in for you. I'm assuming the diamond mine is related to gathering gems in some fashion. Gonna grab me a speed boost to see if we can make it a little further up the line here a little more quickly. Had a question about why the stations cost so much money in Asia. I don't really know that the stations cost any more in Asia than they do anywhere else. So the station costs can definitely get very, very high depending on the value of the station. Each station essentially has a rank based on the population of the city. So depending on the population of the city, the ranks correspond to certain upgrade prices. What you may see is because some of the cities in Asia are very, very populated, that may translate to stations that are a little more expensive to buy. But in terms of the formula or the pricing structure that we're using, I'm not aware of that having changed at all. We had somebody ask about characters in the Asia update who were named after wrestlers. Are we wrestling fans? There are definitely some wrestling fans in the office here, and our designer Brett is most certainly a wrestling fan, so I think it's very possible that some inspiration got drawn from that. So I think that's a safe bet. Somebody asked about seeing our feed and another player's feed sharing a Godzilla secret we added into the game. So there is a Godzilla secret in the Asia update, although it is not called a Godzilla secret. I believe we refer to him as the Lizard King because we're not fans of people getting litigious with us or anything. So there is a secret. Somebody asked if we could talk a little bit more about that. I don't really know what there is to say. It's pretty self-explanatory. There is a secret there. I will say it is related to obstacles, and it is related to a very specific things that happen during a sequence when you're clearing a very specific obstacle. But I don't really want to give more away than that. I think the fun in secrets is how to discover them. What you'll find is frequently, many of our fans do frequently ask questions on secrets, moments, and where to find these different things. So the fact is, if you're looking for those answers, they're out there. And for the people who are that desperate to know the answers to those questions, we're happy to leave those resources out there for people to find. But otherwise, we don't like to take away the surprise from our players who like to stumble across this stuff and have the experience of finding something unexpected. Rebel Leader, were you actually in Canada or were you in Canada in the game? I just wanted to check. Canada is a big place. So we got some people taking our designer to task in the chat otherwise. We had somebody who mentioned they were almost done with the story mode in Asia. And they have to know what area we're going to expand to next. Can we have some sort of release calendar? Officially, we have a release calendar that we use internally in terms of anything that's player-facing. We don't have anything in place right now. And again, I don't know how keen I am to do that. I really don't like... I'm happy to share stuff like this with players and previews of things we have on the go, but I don't like completely spoiling the surprise for everybody, but what I can say is we are gradually working on completing our world map, and we have some idea where we want to go next, and we think it's a natural extension of some of the places that you've already been. So we're certainly willing to take guesses, and if you want to share those in the stream or with us on social media, feel free to let us know. Rebel Leader past Tiny Titan Studios in-game. Yeah, so you would have been in London, Ontario. We might have taken a little bit of artistic license with the appearance of Tiny Titan Studios in the game versus the real one. We do not, unfortunately, have a gigantic statue on top of the building. But we're hoping at some point that we'll be able to modify Titan Tower to include that statue. Somebody asked if our train will be able to crash in Steam or ever, which I would take to mean on the mobile version of the game. For anybody who didn't happen to catch this on our social media, we had a player who did some photoshopping of a little train crash, and I just have my stream lock up. I do not know if that's the stream or just the game.
Good. See, you're just delaying so that I could join the party.
I guess
exactly.
So.
Yeah. How far did we get in the questions that we procured all week?
You're on book here.
We're probably about halfway through.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Had some technical difficulties with their gameplay earlier, so you'll see Rob McCollum has joined me on the stream.
Hello. Sorry about the tardiness. Family doctor's appointments called, so to speak. Look at this. Here we are. We're in Russia, and where are we headed? We got the cat bus equipped to get I see, which is nice.
We do. We're on our way to China, slowly but surely.
Cool. And where are we at with the questions?
I believe the last question we fielded was regarding the train crash. I was just starting to answer that when we had our own crash of a train of a different sort here.
Okay.
So we had a user on social media earlier this week who photoshopped a very convincing train crash using our in-game assets, so much so that for about 10 seconds I considered talking to Andrew and asking if he had a way to reproduce the bug yet, and then I realized it was Photoshop.
Yeah, he's also done another Photoshop to get a tuber car. So
yeah, we've had a couple of folks who've done some mock-ups of their own cars, which is kind of cool to see. So we're hoping to have a spot to share all that fan art in the very near future, by the way, for anybody who's taken the time to do that kind of thing. So by all means, keep sending that stuff our way. Will we ever have train crashes in the game? I think I can safely say no. We'll probably never have a train crash in the game.
Now that said, we do have train degradation coming to Steam.
We do. Train crashes I think is a little dark for Tiny Rails thematically.
Yeah.
But we are looking I shouldn't say we're looking at it, we're actively working on introducing a train maintenance mechanic into the Steam version of the game. So when we show you Steam in the very near future, you'll see that you get to play a little bit more active role in how your train is operating as you're out on the rails. So you're going to have your cars actually generate gold for you as you travel, and you'll be able to collect that gold on whatever basis you like.
Yeah.
And you're also going to have to look out for repair opportunities and cleaning opportunities of your car. So your cars will actually gather dirt and grime as you travel, and your cars will also take durability hits as you go. So they'll actually start to spark and smoke and show some damage. And you're going to have options for going in and repairing, a car at a time, cleaning a car at a time, or doing all if you're willing to part with the gold it's going to take to do that. So,
And right now that's a Steam only feature.
that is a Steam only feature at this point.
Cool.
And that was part of what we wanted to do to try and make that experience more active for our PC players, because we know they're going to play this game a little differently than our mobile players do. So that's exclusively for our Steam folks right now. We're looking forward to getting a chance to show that to you later. It looks really cool.
It does.
I'm really happy with how the effects and the art have turned out on
This
that.
this is one of the few features I've actually seen and kind of got to play with. Most of the features that we discuss in here, they're kind of even behind a second curtain that I don't get access to, that Mr. Stanway here gets to tinker around with in his, his little toy chest, so to speak, I guess.
What?
Your toy chest.
My toy chest.
Yeah, you have a toy chest of all these train ideas and like better or worse executions on some of them and manipulations. We got a long way to go.
We got a little way to go. Part of the problem with designing a game where the train moves, whether you're playing or not, is that sometimes you'll start the game and the train is not exactly where you want it
Well,
to
we're
be.
also only going 87 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, and
Can we ditch some cars to get a little faster?
well, I think it's less an issue of cars and more just
We have gems and gold. Can we upgrade here?
we can. I don't want to completely negate the beauty of our in-game scenery.
Okay. Well, I want to get there before the Twitch.
I'd like that too.
The time Twitch is over. It's funny though, because we talk about the degradation to trains, and I mean, as we stare at the cat bus here on your screen, everybody's watching, and the dirt and stuff. It actually adds a nice level of realism, even though we're talking like fantasy trains and an alternate universe, as you said in a recent interview. I think Tiny Rails is happening in kind of like in the comic book vernacular, an alternate version of our world.
It actually does. It looks. Some of the cars look pretty gross as they get pretty dirty. So the circus car in particular looks. You get a nice muddy looking tent.
Yeah.
I know the Sandcastle car, which was one of our recent bundle cars, looks absolutely disgusting when it's really dirty. It's kind of like nice mucky.
And who wants a dirty pizza car or
Nobody
dirty
wants
taco? Nobody wants a dirty taco.
No.
Like we can just say that for sure. Nobody wants a dirty taco car. Anyways, do you want to move on to the next question here?
Please, by all means.
The new update had a pink version of the app icon. Explain, please.
The explanation is that the new version of the app had a pink version of the icon.
Now, I think there's a little bit more to the story. And I this is one of the things I find fascinating now that I'm on the other side of the curtain when it comes to game development. Not just a player anymore, I get to participate in that whole production aspect. On social media and our official Tiny Rails fan group on Facebook, which is linked through the Tiny Titan Studios page, of course, and through our own personal accounts, we shared 3 different options for what the icon could be, because we were considering a change given that we were expanding to Asia. There was the pink icon, which you see now in the app stores and Google Play. There was a blue version, and then our traditional yellow. Now, what's cool that we can do with this, at least in the Google Play Store? Why don't you tell us what we can do? Because that's really interesting to me.
The Google Play Store has some really interesting tools for testing art assets and various other things, whether it be translations or game descriptions or things like that, and just giving you analytics data to let you know how they're performing with people who are downloading the game or visiting your page. Mm-hmm. And you can use that data to then make informed decisions about, well, okay, this icon potentially is going to drive more traffic to our game or cause more people to download it. So when we did the testing, the pink one performed very, very, very well. We've certainly had a little bit of love for it on social media as well.
Yep.
A lot of fans of the blue on social media too, so I think we'll probably see that in the rotation at some point. But really, it's just we like to refresh the art assets every once in a while. The game is not stagnant, and I don't feel like our promotional materials should be either.
Yeah.
So we do like to try new things every once in a while. And I'm a really big fan of that sort of Dawn-style promo art that our lead artist on the game right now, Tom, did for our promotional stuff. So if you've been following us on social media, I think it's our Twitter banner right now. It's been shared on social media a couple of times. If you've got the current update of the game, you'll see we've updated the splash screens for the loading screens to use the same art style. And I just like the fact that we had an icon that lined up with that art style, and I wanted to roll with it for a little while and just see how people reacted to it. So we want to hear from you. If you like the icon, let us know. If you don't like the icon, let us know. If you like to see those little changes, we think it's important that people can see that aspects of the game have changed, even if they didn't happen to stumble across the fact that there's an update in the Play Store, or they didn't hear on the stream that we released an update on Wednesday. Like, we want to have those little visual cues to let people know that there might be something new to look for as well.
And the big thing is with the updates, you have to update to get the new stuff that we're getting there. It's not kind of baked into whatever version you downloaded last month. You got to stay up to date. Most people have those notification sets, or some people have the automatic downloads when there's a new version, but we like to sprinkle in a little extra reminder there too. Now, is there any plans to change that iconic train, or are we just going to try kind of do these accent differences?
That's a really tough call. We've had some discussions internally about changing the train that we use on the icon, and we've certainly had some players suggest it. I know a couple of our players who commented on the blue icon were saying they'd prefer to see the Steamline train or Streamline train in place of the current one that's there. What I will say is I feel strongly that icon train is sort of like a character in our game.
Sure. I think it's good branding more than anything.
I think that's sort of our mascot or our logo at this point, and there is something about the notion of seeing that specific train go to all these different places that I really like. It just sort of, it gives me a little kind of happy feeling to know that our little logo train is kind of gradually exploring the world. So I'm hesitant to change it, but that's not to say that we wouldn't consider doing so. I don't know, maybe once we fill in the world, it's a good time to do it, because that little train has finished its journey around
That's just the first lap.
Yeah, well, we might have to outfit that train for some other purposes later on.
Now, Steam also has icons for their games, right? I'm not really huge into Steam because I'm a Mac player. We know how Apple doesn't have a lot of Steam games for support. It's like, maybe 5% of the library of stuff that's on Steam will also play on Apple devices, so I can't really speak to that. Do we have the same icons on Steam for our games? How does that work on Steam?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the user options in Steam, because for the most part you play the games through the platform.
Okay.
So you're opening up Steam, running the game through there, and you're not necessarily clicking on an icon to represent it. I know.
But when you're scrolling through the library of what games you want to purchase or download, it must show like an icon for the game.
No, there's different art
See,
assets.
this is just what I just don't know.
If you go into your library, there is a small icon at the top there. The problem is that
Okay.
our current icon just will not read at the size of the icon that's located there.
Okay.
I believe it's a 32 by 32 pixel icon, so we had to do something custom for that. When you do have the game minimized, though, it does run with a version of the kind of classic orange icon in the bottom there. Wonk Bongdar is asking why the whistles and horns do not match the engines. It is a good question, and the answer to it really isn't a good one. We just haven't changed it yet. That is the simple, honest answer. We actually have multiple horn sounds, so the notion was to be able to do specific horns for specific trains, and we certainly laid the plans in place to do that. And honestly, it's just something that sort of slipped off of our radar. We know occasionally people bring it up, and it's something that we would like to take care of in a cleanup pass. We occasionally get a day where we just sort of grind away at a bunch of small things and try to get those taken care of. And that's definitely a task for that kind of day, I think. It's just recently we've frankly just had way more crucial things to focus on.
Like what?
Much bigger scale things, like big design decisions about Steam.
That's up there.
Which Brett is almost certainly making right now. Well, he's fielding questions about our train whistles.
I thought for sure the cat bus would go meow meow.
It
meow,
probably should,
meow.
frankly. There's all kinds of opportunities for these things, and I mean, we know that there are places we could be doing things better, and we're conscious of that. It's not lost on us, guys. It's just that when you've got really what's happening now is we have two versions of the game to support. We have one team trying to support basically two different versions of the game, and that's challenging for a team of like 5 people essentially, plus the odd person like yourself who sort of drifts in and out as they're needed.
Do not give me any credit. All I do is try to make what you guys do look good.
So we do our best to keep up, but honestly, a lot of times we have to sacrifice some of the small things in favor of hitting some of the big value things. And when you've got a bug that, say, causes players to not leave a station when they set a waypoint, versus a bug where the proper horns aren't playing when you didn't click on the proper engine, then you've got to evaluate and decide which one's more critical and which one needs the most attention. So that is a very long-winded answer, Wonk, but hopefully hopefully at least I can acknowledge that, yeah, we know that's a problem and we definitely want to get that fixed, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do so in the very near future.
Bill the Cat wants to know if he needs to crack the whip to get Brett working a bit harder. I think Brett likes the whips a little bit more. I recently did an interview with Brett, which people will see on social media in the coming weeks, and he revealed a lot of information, I got to tell you.
I will say, as a nod to Brett and the rest of the Tiny Rails team, everybody has been working extraordinarily hard these past couple of weeks to try and bring the Steam game together in the best possible way we can. So Brett's working pretty hard already, but Bill, you guys seem like you're old friends. I'm not going to discourage you from doing whatever you feel like you need to do. It's not my place.
He's just looking for excuses at this point, I feel. I think that's what's going on. That's my read of the situation. We did set a waypoint for Asia, right? We're not just like going around in circles.
Oh, we set a waypoint.
Okay, just making sure. All right, next question is, can we have an East Coast port instead of the tunnel, or at least a cargo depot that the tunnel connects to under the Atlantic?
What I will say to that is it's very, very likely that the Atlantic Tunnel, the transatlantic tunnel, I'm sorry, is probably on borrowed time. We think the depot is probably a more preferable way to get around the world. And as such, I think you'll see that the transatlantic tunnel will be undergoing a change of some kind. I know there's been some talk of doing some underwater adventures in the future, so I don't want to completely write it off. That might be a means of getting us to wherever those adventures might take place. But I think you will see us do a little bit of an update on that section of the game. So don't be surprised if at some point in a future update the tunnel's suddenly under construction and there are potentially alternative means of getting around the world. For anybody who has had a chance to check out the port nodes already, you're going to see that they are pretty limited right now. There really is only one destination, depending on which port you're located at. The plan is certainly to make that more advanced as we go on. So you're going to be able to go to different destinations, really dependent on what areas you've unlocked and which qualifications you've managed to hit already. So we will be looking at making that more robust as we go forward, and as I said, you'll certainly be seeing that sort of thing being used more as we introduce new content in the future too. Build a Cat's making.
I see this.
What's that?
I see this too.
Yes, Build a Cat's making a Futurama reference that we literally made ourselves a couple of days ago in the studio. So.
Yeah. There was a misread line, and Glenn's like, the lost city of Atlanta? What? Futurama. Very good. I like it.
Coke plants do crazy things.
Next question, I think it's kind of a comment that kind of morphs into a question. Major fan of seeing the new mods for when cargo has been fulfilled. Thank you. What else is on the horizon for popular, much-needed fix requests?
It's not so much on the horizon anymore, but I'd say the next most popular fix request we had.
Bill the Cat's having fun with us right now in chat.
Yeah. I love the Futurama references, Bill. Thank you. Now I'm so distracted that I can't remember what I was answering. So we were talking about
much-needed fixes.
Much-needed fixes. So it's not on the horizon anymore, but I would say the next most commonly asked for request was probably the ability to set a custom waypoint while you're stopped at a station. So for our players who play in manual depart mode and didn't like the fact that when they got to a station, the station had already picked its next location, and then they could set a waypoint, but they had to go to this other place first and then come back or do whatever. That really bothered people a lot. So we've added in that ability. If you are playing in manual depart mode now and you select a waypoint from a station, the train will automatically redirect itself before it starts departing again, which is a big deal. So we're pretty excited about that, and we know a lot of players are going to be really happy to see that too. I think the next stage of what we want to look at is what we're looking at right now, as a matter of fact.
All this?
The map. So we know our map needs some work. We know it's not the easiest thing in the world to navigate, and one of the things we've had a request for in terms of the map is easier ways to tell where there are still cargo demands, better filtering for that sort of thing. So we'd like to add in a filter system that will make it a little bit easier to tell which places you still need to go. So for example, Rob just went ahead and did a couple of upgrades on that station. Maybe you'd like to filter out all the locations where you have upgraded the station fully.
Yeah.
so that you can tell which ones you have that are still level 2 or level 1, and where you need to go next to finish your area progress.
Especially like in like dense areas like this,
For sure.
where you got to kind of zoom in to see all of them. Or well, what's going on here?
That's enough of that.
Oh, okay.
Stop pointing at our mistakes. The map is essentially a big picture. It doesn't scroll, so there are edges to the map, and that was a bit of a challenge.
The Earth is flat.
Japan in, yeah.
There are edges to the world.
That's true. So, alternatively, again, a major request is players wanting to know, well, how can I have an easier time telling where I still have a city that has cargo demand?
Yeah.
So we'd like to add in a filter that will maybe hide the stations where you have filled the cargo demands already, and it makes it a little bit easier to tell where you need to go. So for all those people who are really big on getting the 100% area progress, that they want to unlock all those engines you get for doing that, we want to make that a little bit easier, and we think that'll help with the map a lot too. One thing that we're looking at for the map in Steam right now is there are actually tooltips for all the nodes in the game.
Oh yeah.
We may take that a little bit further if we have the time or we have a good idea for how to do it. But currently in Steam, if you mouse over one of the nodes on the world map, it'll actually pop up the name of the station, so you actually be able to see where that place is.
Is it just the name, or does it break down what level it is? Or
It's literally just the name at this point, and we don't want to overload people with
Sure.
information there. But even that we felt was really helpful for navigation.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who play from all kinds of different countries and aren't necessarily aware of the geography. So I know I've spoken to some Russian players, some European players who just don't know U.S. geography very well.
and vice versa.
You know, they know where New York City is roughly, but they don't necessarily know where,
Columbus.
random city in Ohio, yeah, like Columbus or any place in Montana would be. So we thought the mouse server was a good way to help people see that and maybe at least give you a sense of what's around you as you're traveling along. So yeah, we'll continue to build on that.
We usually get one or two requests like, "Hey, where's this city? I'm trying to do this quest." So it's not without motivation from everybody out there either.
For sure. Well, people are getting behind the train just doing its thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Trucking
It's
along.
mesmerizing to watch the cat just cruise. Hashtag cat cruise.
Hashtag cat cruise.
Yeah. You gonna do the speed boost on this one?
Always.
Over under. I think we're gonna be about 5 stations out. 5 is the over under. How many we're gonna be away from by the time this Titan Twitch ends? Next comment or question is: the Facebook feed shares videos by B2. Does he work for you guys?
Does B2 work for we guys?
Us guys.
What's the proper?
Does he work for you guys?
Phrasing of that. B2 does not work for Tiny Titan Studios. No.
I don't know. He really works.
B2 is a
He's not an employee.
is a YouTuber who became a big fan of our games very early on as he was building his audience on YouTube, and we were really grateful for the attention that he showed our games, and just we love the way his videos roll. Like I actually love listening to B2 talk in his videos. I think he's got
Me
a really
too.
nice kind of friendly style, and I think he's a really good fit for the content of the games that we make as well. So he's been kind enough to continue to do videos he's been doing it for months.
Yeah, since the launch, by the looks of it.
And I think now that we have Rob here and we sort of have a little bit more dedicated social media support, we've been very much focused on trying to call attention to those players who support our games that way, and really just trying to share the stuff that they do and give them credit for the stuff that they do as well. So B2 is definitely one of the more prominent ones, I'd say, in our community right now, but we'd certainly love to give attention where attention is due. So if you do make Tiny Rails content, or you want to make Tiny Rails content, we encourage you to reach out to us. We would love to have you be part of our community and get you a tuber car and just generally be able to share the content you make so more people can see it.
Bill the Cat asks if Tapsmiths is still in active development.
Tapsmith's still in active development. Bill,
What does active development mean first?
I think what Bill is actually asking is whether or not Tapsmiths is still being supported.
Okay.
Active development to me would suggest that we're still making the game, whereas support, like live support, would be we're continuing to do updates and we're continuing to put content in there. Bill, I have to say, Tapsmiths has definitely been sort of backburnered at the moment. We know it's still there, and we still love the game, and we know that there's still people who really enjoy it, but just needs of the studio have kind of dictated that it needs to sort of take a backseat to some other stuff right now. So
And we're also pretty happy with where that game sits and what we've done
I think
to
so.
it.
I feel really at this point there's not a lot we could do other than adding more Smith characters, and while that might be fun, I question
Yeah.
how much value there is in doing that, and unfortunately it does require having artists who can work on it. And
Yeah, so if we do something for Tapsmith, then it means somebody else can't work on our other project that's in development, or work on the Steam version of Tiny Rails,
For
or
sure.
the mobile version.
So what I will say is we're still actively supporting Tiny Rails, obviously. We're currently working on the Steam version of that game, as everyone knows as well. We are currently working on a new project, which we haven't announced yet, but we'll be talking about at some point in probably the pretty near future. And
I hope so.
Last but not least, Dash Quest is still very much a thing. So
Yeah.
we are definitely marshaling our resources to giving Dash Quest a little more love. It's Dash Quest has been kind of coasting for a little while with very little in the way of attention from us. We've still been doing some events and stuff like that in game, but we are definitely gearing up to do an update for Dash Quest to add some more content and iron out a few things that have been bothering players for a while. So
It was fun to watch Carson on here last week with us tap answer on some of the questions that I knew the answers to regarding future Dash Quest update plans, and he's been saddled with a bunch of IT stuff, but him and I are cooking up some cool DQ stuff, as we refer to it here, and that's going to be cool to really unveil what's going on in the world of Dash Quest momentarily, or shortly at least.
I just want to take a moment to say on the topic of Dash Quest, we owe Dash Quest a lot. We really do. I don't think there's anybody in this building who isn't aware of how important Dash Quest was to us. I mean, we really owe our current status as a developer to the success that Dash Quest had. I wouldn't be here if Dash Quest hadn't come out and had
Nor
been
I.
successful. We wouldn't have a game like Tiny Rails, or be able to continue to work on a game like Tiny Rails, or make a Steam version of a game like Tiny Rails if it hadn't been for Dash Quest. So I think we've all sort of mutually come to the conclusion that that Dash Quest is definitely one of our favorite children, and it deserves a little bit more quality time with us. So.
And it's interesting because I've been working with a lot of press people on different review sites and stuff like that, talking to them about getting ready to review the Steam version of Tiny Rails and look at our latest mobile updates. And one of the questions that they frequently ask is, well, is Tiny Rails your flagship title? Being like the game that like the studio is best known for. And I don't know that I can say that, because it's really DQ that is still, I think, the flag waver in terms of length that it's been around. The player base is still quite large, and we're still under year one in terms of Tiny Rails. So
Yeah, we just there was a post on a blog called Mobile Syrup a couple of weeks ago. For anybody who's not familiar with Mobile Syrup,
it's a great blog name, by the way.
yeah, Mobile Syrup is a Canadian-based mobile phone blog. So they do all kinds of sort of mobile phone news. So news about new devices that are coming out, news about the major carriers and what's going on with them, government regulations and how they're changing regarding telecommunications and that sort of thing. I didn't even know they looked at games. I've read the blog for years. I used to work with a Canadian telecom company, so I read the blog a lot as part of my job, just kind of keeping posted on what was going on out there. And I didn't even know they did game pieces, and yet they did a blog post on Dash Quest not 2 weeks ago. And to see that a game that has been around as long as Dash Quest has still getting attention from places like that is pretty awesome to see. Have we said A on the stream?
I don't think we have.
I don't feel like we've dropped an A on the stream
Yeah, that's your story.
that wasn't intentionally
Yeah.
dropped, at least. So
I feel like that stereotype is justified, but not always employed to the extent that our maybe American following would think.
yeah, we don't say oot or a boot either.
I do.
Dude.
Having lived in America, I've been told that I definitely say out about boat. And it sounds like oot boot. Oot boot.
But it doesn't. It's just that the American tongue can't actually
Is it the tongue or the ear?
pronounce the word out the way a Canadian does.
It's the metric pronunciation.
It's the closest approximate. It's like in a fantasy movie or something where like a character has a real name, but
So are you saying like Canadians
the human tongue,
like Elvish tongue?
the human tongue can't say it, so the character goes by the name Bill or something.
Oh, okay. I see.
Build-A-Cat's real name cannot be pronounced by a game developer, so he uses Build-A-Cat.
I get it.
You have some more questions?
I do. We got 3 more. Here we go. 200 speed activated. 15 stops to go. I just spent 250 gems on rolls in the Gumball, and then your Gumball Madness event started. FML.
Yeah, we get that.
Because that happens.
We got that tweet from a fan of ours named Bradley. He's actually a really nice guy. I had a little bit of PM talk with him on Twitter, but
Oh, good.
it's honestly, it's the nature of any promotion or sale. We do try to create urgency around it, and we try to keep people on their toes, and we want people to be surprised by things that happen in the game, which is part of why we are hesitant to do things like calendars for some of these things. We don't always want people to kind of see what's coming ahead of time, but that does mean you are going to have situations like that where somebody will burn through some of their hard-earned gems and not realizing that there is something else they may want to use them on coming up or coming down the pipe. So unfortunately, it's the way of the world.
Yeah, and I don't know whether to say, maybe spend your gems sparingly in case the sale comes up, or, spend them all so you can get when the gem sales happen as well, they can help your Gumball. I don't know. But stay tuned and check back frequently, because we literally have no rhyme or reason when these things are happening. It's kind of like, hey Glenn, what about Gumball Madness? Well, when did we do it last time? I don't know. It feels like Gumball Madness o'clock. What are you looking at there? You still really...
I'm just fascinated.
You're drawn into the landscape.
I still find myself, even though I've been working on this game since last summer, I still find myself getting lost watching it sometimes, which makes me feel good, because I know that was something we were really trying to accomplish with the game from the outset. So the fact that I myself can still find myself watching it and getting distracted is I think a testament to the job that the art team did.
Show us the Steam version and take my money.
We'll happily take your money once we show you the Steam version.
When can we show them on Titan Twitch?
It's going to
be the ongoing joke with you and I.
I know, and it really is just it's really out of a desire to want to be able to show people the best possible thing we can show them.
Right.
And it's a little like, to some degree, we're perfectionists, and we want to get everything just so, and we want to make sure people see things in the state we want to see them in. So we really are just trying to lock down kind of what point we want people to be able to see the game at. So
next week, what are the odds? 50-50?
50-50?
Give me better odds than 50-50.
I will say that before the end of July, you're going to see Tiny Realms.
It's killing me. Because I do a lot of the social media managing, I'm just dying to say, tune into Twitch.
I know.
Friday 3 p.m.
I know.
Check out the first look at Tiny Rails Steam.
I know.
Fair enough. All right, our last question here comes from me.
Oh.
To you.
Oh.
And I think we're going to be split on this one, but I don't know. Are you going to be a mobile or a Steam Tiny Rails player?
Am I personally going to be a mobile or a Steam Tiny Rails?
Given what you've seen in Steam, we know it's not quite done yet.
Oh, wow.
And given what we know is coming down the pipeline for mobile, not that you couldn't be both, but if you could only pick one, which one is you? Not that everybody out there has to pick either.
No. I think I'm going to have to say Steam.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to say Steam, and I know it's just because for me, the appeal of being able to have this guy running on, like, I have 2 monitors on my desk.
That I can't see you.
Yeah,
behind.
That I'm obscured behind. So, just the appeal in having the game running on one of those monitors while I'm working on other things is actually really, really strong. I like, and as I've demonstrated many times throughout the stream and previous streams, I like watching the game. There's some really nice subtle graphic effects that we're using on the Steam version too that I think make it. I think the game's really pretty to begin with, but I think those graphic effects really kind of make things pop. So we have a motion blur effect that we use for speed boosts on the train, and we're doing a really nice bloom effect on all the lighting effects in the game, and I just think it looks pretty great. And we just having the ability to have some more horsepower with the PC lets us do things like that more easily than we could on a mobile device. So
you're casting your vote 100%. you think that you're going to be a dedicated Steam player of
I
Tiny
think
Rails.
I will be a Steam player of Tiny Rails.
As much as I love all the cool new features, and I will pick it up on Steam, I'm going to stick with the mobile because I really like that convenience of being able to walk around, check out my train, play it for a few minutes here, set my waypoint, collect the cargo and do the cargo depot runs. And I just like to be able to have the train on the fly. I don't know, as I'm traveling, and I travel a lot, I like to travel with my train. So, what happened?
2 stops away from China. I'm excited.
Well, this is good because this is that was the last question that we had.
Almost there.
Unless we have more from Twitch chat.
Bill DeCat has a very good perspective, which game programming is like cooking a sausage.
It's not done till Daddy turns this darn car around?
It's done when it's done.
Oh.
That's
silly humans, trains don't fly. Bill DeCat, what are you sipping on right now, my friend?
part of the difficulty with the Steam development process has been like we went in knowing that we had a laundry list of things that we wanted to accomplish when we made the game on Steam. So we knew that there were certain features we wanted to add.
You're not doing this justice. It's not just a laundry list. You make it sound like you just fold out a piece of paper that's been crammed in your pocket with a few things.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, there was a board literally about the size of this wall. Maybe not as high, but the width for sure.
Yes,
that was covered.
Some dates and some bullet points on it. Suffice it to say, we had a big list of things that we wanted to get into the game and that we wanted to change about the existing game before we launched it on Steam. The trouble is that it's like everything you accomplish tends to open up other questions.
Yes.
So then you have to talk about the answers to those questions, and sometimes those lead you in other directions you weren't expecting to go in. And as such, there are things that you maybe kind of expected to be done a couple of weeks ago that aren't because you decided to divert and kind of work on something else instead. And it's just sort of the nature of game development, guys. It's a tricky business. It really is sort of a balancing act, and at all times you really have to decide, okay, well, which of these balls gets thrown up in the air and which one do I need to catch, and move on from there. That was probably a bad metaphor.
I was going to say, it's a little bit closer to one of these things is not like the other, so it gets left behind.
Yeah. And it really turns into a game of also, this is a thing we thought was going to be really important. And then in retrospect, as you start plugging in other pieces and seeing things in context, you realize that thing you thought was really, really vitally important really isn't as important as you thought it was.
Well, what I thought was interesting that we saw today in the chat, because we have an internal group chat, is some icons that were created early in the development of Tiny Rails, like early on in the repository of art assets, have now been implemented into what's going on forward. Now they've been modified and changed in the look by the adjusted, but the whole functionality of what we're talking about has come full circle.
Yeah, we did have a user ask on Twitter earlier today. They were looking at the game promotional art assets, and there was a specific car that they were asking about, and they're like, I don't see this car anywhere in the game. How do I get this car? The answer is the car actually isn't in the game. It was done relatively early on as part of the promotional art. The art assets got made for it, and then the car just never actually got put in the game. So we do have a double-decker car in the game, but it's a very, very different style than the one you see in the promotional art.
You're supposed to tell them if they spend over 100 rare gumballs, so whatever that is, whether it's String Gumball Madness or not, they have a 3% chance of unlocking this car that was used for promotional art. So it's like Ultra Chase. No, we can't.
Yeah.
We can't verify that.
I don't know if that'll stand up to scrutiny.
No. Let's take a look at this too before we sign off here. This little thing on the side here.
Oh yeah, we had to look a little bit earlier.
Okay. Well, I like that we've added this as 500,000 gold now, because one of the other things you saw as a question is why the station so much. So here we go. We got that taken care of. And this is a ridiculously reasonable price. I was pushing for like 800 gems, given the amount of cars that we're giving.
Way too much.
Well, what are we doing for 3 cars usually? Exactly.
Not about the number of cars. It's about the
Clearly, it's about the number of gems.
But they're level 1 cars as well. So.
Well,
Let's
I
not
mean,
forget.
here's the deal: you got 2.5 days left to get this. That's a stupid price to get that. Just gems, and you can earn gems doing other things too, which is really nice. So
You can indeed.
you should snag that. So that brings me to another question that I did get on social media.
Mm-hmm.
When we unveil new cars going forward after Steam is released, do the Steam players just automatically see that they've been added to the library, or is it like a download that they have to do for an update?
It's actually a really good question, and it's not a question that we 100% have an answer for just yet.
Oh, okay.
I know we are still talking about a release schedule for Steam and how frequently we want to update for Steam. I think I can say that we are definitely aiming to launch into early access because
Breaking news.
Yeah, we are planning to launch the game into early access because we reckon we are going to have some things that we'll want to fine tune. There are some new things we're introducing to Steam, and we really want to get a sense of what players think of those things, and we want to be able to iterate on those things thanks to their feedback and make some other changes as well. So that is part of our plan, and with that in mind, we'll be also considering what our release schedule is going to look like. I don't think that you're going to see updates to Steam Tiny Rails as frequently as you see them
This was my next
for
question.
mobile. Mobile updates we try to do once every 2 weeks at least. And I don't think you'll see that on Steam unless we have a really critical bug fix or something like that we need to address. I think we'll probably go with a little bit longer schedule. So I think what you'll see is the major content updates will probably sync up relatively well.
Oh, I've got so many questions now. I don't even know if it's fair to share them on air, though.
Okay. This sounds like a tease.
Well, we've been releasing a lot of new car packs almost every weekend. How does that work for Steam players if they're going to have to wait for like major expansions and stuff? And yes, we're getting completely trolled. I'm getting completely trolled over here in Twitch chat.
Sir that is less tall is your new name. It took me some time to understand that's what that was.
Yeah, well. So how are we going to roll out car packs?
I don't know, but we're rolling into Mongolia as we speak.
Is that technically part of Asia?
It is part of our new update, absolutely.
So we went with the plan of showcasing Asia in this Titan Twitch, and we end by arriving there.
Yep.
I'm going to thank Andrew for that one again,
It's a
because
lovely
I kind
trip.
of said just make sure Asia's unlocked so that we can be there.
Oh, it was unlocked.
Oh, well, so
In Andrew's defense, it was unlocked. We were
Right.
just nowhere near it.
Okay. So we'll have to cross that T and dot that I for next week. Add that to the list going forward of prep work we need to do for these Twitch streams. But I've had fun. Yourself?
I have, yeah. Thank you for joining me partway through. It's definitely
Yeah.
more interesting to do these with somebody to help ask.
Yeah, I apologize again for being late. I did not want to miss this because I have fun doing this. This is a nice breakaway from the other stuff. So we will try to do a highlight video as well again for everybody. We appreciate everybody that watches the highlight videos and the full streams, of course. If you have any questions, make sure that you send them to us on Facebook or Twitter or through email, support@tinytitanstudios.com. We can collect them there and answer them on Twitch. Our next stream. We'll hopefully do another one next week. Yeah?
Oh, next week for sure.
Yeah, 3 p.m. Friday. It seems to work fairly well. So
Place your bets now on Steam making an appearance.
it's not going to happen. I hope it is. Say it with me. Say it with me. So for myself, Rob McCallum, thanks for watching, guys, and
Glenn Stanway, thanks again for joining us on Tiny Titan Twitch, and we'll see you in a week.
great.